Hello friends, Metapod here, and today we're playing some more Harvest Moon, The Lost Valley. Thank you if you have watched this far while I talk about my holistic health life improvement journey that I am trying to set forward on now, that I want to start working on. I've already started working on, but I want to continue to work on as I go forward. And today, instead of talking about that, I'm just going to talk about something funny, how I am funny, and how I tend to be weird about how I enjoy things. And first, we're going to go to bed and see if there's any cutscenes. Which, if there's cutscenes, I will pay a little bit of attention to them. But yeah, this is something that I kind of wanted to start bringing up in previous videos. But, and then I did want to talk a little bit about how therapy works. It will be relevant to this topic that I'm going to say. It just keeps showing this. Okay, we're getting a scene. Is it going to be her? Oh, it's Rowan. Rowan, I'm sorry for not talking to you. I've seen a little girl wandering around recently. Okay. That's it? Okay, that works. Now we got Sam. I remembered your birthday. I don't know if it's even possible to give people presents in this game. You just know what I mean, increase messages. But did he increase his selection? No, it's the same. Okay, let's go. From now on, when we get too much lumber, though, we're gonna have to sell it to Sam. Okay, our crops are already watered. So we will get right back into dumping soil, and I will talk about my silly thing. And that is, if you watched my streams, you may have noticed that I always made grandiose plans and talked about how if I wanted to do something, I always wanted to do some crazy, like, 100% thing. Like, and not even just 100% like play a game. Like, if I wanted to play Final Fantasy 15, for example, why are these ones watered and those ones not? I feel like I should wait until the others are watered, like dried, but I'm gonna water them because it's just, I don't like them sitting there unwatered. But like, so it's like, oh, I feel like playing Final Fantasy 15. I'll be like, well, I have to start from Final Fantasy 1. And I have to play every single Final Fantasy game up until 15, including all the spin-offs and all. I watch the animes and stuff that, or the animes, because I think there was a Final Fantasy 15 anime, and I think there's like, maybe even a Final Fantasy 7 anime now, I don't know. But like, you know, I have to watch every single one and 100% clear all the games with 99 of every item and like all this stuff. Like, I'll never get to Final Fantasy 15 at that rate. And like, I always burn out. I never finish that kind of a thing. But I always do that. And like, you know, I go into everything with this kind of crazy mindset that I need to do every possible little piece that I could, and it actually stops me from enjoying things a lot of times. Like, recently I got back into wrestling, and I'm kind of starting to fall out of it again. Professional wrestling, like WWE in particular. I was watching NWA Power for a bit, but I kind of fell out of that, and But I started to get this idea that I was going to watch just everything WWE that ever happened, like starting from like I had to pick a starting point, so I was gonna just start in the 70s and like just watch everything, every program, every like event. And then I was like, well, if I'm doing that, I might as well watch like WCW and like all this other stuff. And I was just gonna download like terabytes of like wrestling content. And like then I realized that was really ridiculous. I would never keep up on it. And yeah, that's how I do stuff. And when I go into games, like playing a game, like I've been wanting to play Friends of Mineral Town recently. But when I think, why did it say no water available? Oh, fertilizer. There's no fertilizer available. But I go into it already thinking that I'm going to catch the largest size of every fish and get all the goddess jewels and copper jewel and all the tools and all the things, and even get the vacation villa thingy or whatever. Like, I'm gonna do all of it, and like then I get really overwhelmed and don't want to do it anymore because it doesn't sound appealing. But I don't like. It's like my brain can't even fathom any other way to enjoy the game. Like, it's weird. That's why I'm surprised I'm playing this with no, like, real hardcore goal or anything. I just kind of want to play it. Like, my main goal is just to see the content that I haven't seen because I quit the 3DS version at the credits roll. So, and I think secretly, deep down inside, I do want to, get all of the crop mutations and all that kind of stuff, but I'm not thinking about that right now. And then at the same time, on the subject of wanting to do that things, I am making a new channel to put these videos on, and I was thinking maybe I can do every Natsume Harvest Moon to 100% completion on this channel. So I'm trying not to think about that stuff, but that does enter my mind a lot as I'm doing this, and as I was thinking about it coming up to doing it. And it did make it really intimidating to start doing this one, and I really, really had to force myself not to think about that stuff. And yeah, so I'm really crazy about doing that. And then I also do this thing where like I feel like I can't just like do a thing and enjoy the thing. I have to like leave something behind. Like I have to have it like publicly documented that I did the thing in some way. And that can manifest in doing like writing a guide to the game on GameFAQs, and that's one that I like to do. And it has to be a complete guide of everything that's in the game, so I can like kind of almost like prove that I did everything in the game. And doing Let's Plays was a big one for that. And that's what I'm doing right now. And there's I did some people call them like screenshot Let's Plays. I always called them play diaries because that's what they call them in Japanese. I actually encountered them in Japanese first and didn't even know that people did them in English. So I always called them play diaries. And so I would do play diaries, or I would do some kind of like analytic blog, or like just something. Like I feel like I had to like I shouldn't really, I don't know. Or I would do I talked about the blogs and stuff. Like I just had to do something, or do some kind of like review. So when I would watch TV shows, like I can't just watch the show. I have to write a review of every episode and like cover all the events that happen in the episode. Like it's just like I don't know why I'm like this. And so I did try talking about this with my therapist. I've only seen my new therapist like a few times. And so we haven't had a chance to like fully like discuss all of this kind of stuff. And that's the other topic I wanted to get into today. So now you know my crazy completionist mindset to everything in life. And I can't tell, like the camera is too like straight up and down. It's hard to tell the like elevation of this stuff. Like the sense of depth perception is kind of difficult to get a hold of right here. But anyway, so like we did talk about this a little bit, and pretty much he was like, well, why do you think like that? Like, what do you feel like you will accomplish if you do those things? Like, do you feel scared if that, like, if you don't do it, like something bad will happen? You know, he'll just ask a bunch of questions, and then, you know, my answer is just like, well, I really don't know. But I think, you know, the point is I need to think about that kind of stuff. And I think a lot of people think that therapy is like you go in and you say like, I have this problem, and then the therapist is going to go, okay, I'm trying to solve that problem. Here's what you do, and give you like a guide. And that's not how it works. Like that's not what therapy is. And I think so many people think that's what it is, and then they like are disappointed when that doesn't happen, and then they give up on therapy. But therapy is kind of like group problem solving, and like, you know, you have to work it out together with the therapist because every person is different, and like there might be tons of people who think the way I do and do things like this where they have to feel like they have to go all in, and every person who does it could be doing it for different reasons and have different like motivations behind these thoughts, and so the solution is going to be different for each person. And therapy is about working to find that solution together with your therapist. It's not about the therapist like giving you a solution. Like essentially you're finding your own solutions, and the therapist is like guiding you to them in the best way they can. And yeah, I think that's a really good thing to realize, to go into therapy with that mindset that that's how it's going to work. Because if you go into it expecting them to just fix your problems and know what to do with your problems as soon as they hear them, then it's just not going to work that way. And you're going to feel frustrated, you're going to feel disappointed, and you're going to think that the therapist is bad, or that therapy doesn't work, or that, you know, therapy's not right for you, or that the therapist doesn't care, or that it's too hard to get like quality therapy. Like you have to really like put in a lot of effort yourself to work with the therapist, and that can be really hard in itself because sometimes you have no idea, and sometimes you might have a bad therapist who isn't good at guiding you towards those answers. And I haven't had enough time with my current therapist to know really how good he is at this or not. I have had some really good therapists in the past. I've had some really bad therapists in the past. And my current therapist, I like him a lot. He's very personable. He has a mustache. And he's just very nice. He seems like he asks the right questions, but we just haven't had enough time together for me to really know like how effective he's gonna be. Yeah, I think we've had 3 sessions, so this will be our 4th tomorrow, which is technically today because it is already the day of the appointment after midnight. But I do not consider it tomorrow I do not consider it the next day until I sleep. So anything that happens after my sleep is tomorrow. It doesn't matter if it's past midnight already. Today is still today until I sleep. Okay, so I think we're good there. And yeah, so that is my tip on therapy. If you're getting therapy, try to think of it that way. And for some people, it's really hard because like, I have a friend who talks about this with me, and like she doesn't know what to talk about in therapy. Like she goes to therapy and like she'll have a million things that go wrong, and there's just so much, that could be talked about. And it's like, what do you talk about in your session when they ask you, like, what do you want to talk about? It's just like, and like, I had that problem too when I started, because I didn't know where I wanted to start. And like, I also was not comfortable because I had not really done it much before. And, I need a lot of guidance. And I don't think, not all therapists are good at that. And even if they are good at that, when you offer like no input, they have nothing to go on. You know what I mean? So there's really not that much you can do. It's like if you just go into a restaurant, not even a restaurant, like a restaurant, they could figure something out. Like you just go into like a Walmart, and you just go in there and just go up to the greeter and go like, hey, I need help. And then they're like, okay, like, what do you want to find? What do you need help with? Do you have return? They might be able to ask you some questions like that, but they're probably just going to be like, what do you need help with? And you just go like, you tell me. I don't know. Help. Like, you see what I mean? Like, they don't know what you need, and there's so many things in the store, and there's so many different services offered that like they don't, like, where do they start? They don't know either, but I'm not saying it's your fault. I'm not saying like, oh, you better lead the session or anything, but I'm just saying like you can see how hard that would be. And especially like even within like a Walmart, you can at least kind of come up with some ideas. Like, are you looking for a product? Are you looking for like a customer service? But if it's like with therapy, this, like, it could be anything. There's so many ways that could go. So like you could understand why it's hard for both people. And so I think that makes starting therapy really hard for anyone. So I do recommend, if you do want to go to therapy and you have multiple things you want to talk about, make a list that as you go through your days and you find something you're struggling with that you think you could benefit from talking about in therapy, just write it down. It's small, big, just write it down. And then you can at least take your list and just tell them the whole list, and then they can help you find, narrow down maybe where you want to start working. And so that's my tip. That's my tip for therapy. Because I remember like my very first day in therapy, I kind of said some things, and like one of the things I said was, so it's hard for me to talk on the phone. And it was like, well, okay, so like for going on to our next sessions, we can work on making it easier to talk on the phone. And I was like, I don't want that. Like, I mean, that would be a great help to me, because talking on the phone is very, very difficult for me. But like, I feel like I had so many other things that were more important. That was like, why did you pick that one? Because he doesn't know. Like, we have to work together. It's a reach the thing. And then I just say no, and then he goes okay, and then we worked on some. We eventually figured it out. But like, then you get a new therapist, and then I have gotten therapists where I just don't get anywhere with them, and sometimes that happens. And it's hard to tell if you're not getting anywhere just because the process itself is so difficult, or if you're not getting anywhere because the therapist doesn't really like match up with what you need, like their skills and your needs just don't work. Or it can be there are bad therapists. So yeah, I don't know. There's just so much going on. My point is, don't give up on therapy if you think you can benefit from it, and I think most people can. Most people can. So hopefully this is giving you a little insight into why not to give up on therapy, and what to expect, and how to try to make the most of it as a patient. It's very difficult, but it's good. Therapy is good, and So I don't know. This little discussion today, all over the place. I have no idea what I want to talk for the next video. Maybe I'll stop here. I still have about an hour before I want to go to sleep. Maybe I'll start working on some other stuff. I really want to keep playing. I know the game looks really dull. I can understand why people play this game and give up fast. Because, like, nothing is happening. Like, we grow some crops and we can cut trees, but we can't mine, we can't fish, we can't do anything because Natsume locked all the progression behind certain goalposts, and that I think is a design decision that I really don't like about Natsume games, even though the progression has felt more natural and felt like you always had new things to do in the newer games. If you don't like sitting and moving the dirt around back and forth, you're going to be bored to tears at the beginning of this game. Later on, there's more activities, and it doesn't feel like this, but you're not going to get that far if you're not having fun in the beginning. You might give up. So, but I think that is a criticism that Natsume heard and took to heart, and that's one thing I do like about Natsume as a game developer, is they seem to really listen to the fans' criticisms of their games and try to fix the things that people don't like about the games in their next games. Of course, they can't always do everything because that people complain about, because sometimes people want stuff that would actually be worse. Like, maybe we'll talk about that in the next video. That's what we'll talk about. It's Natsume's design decisions and fan feedback on stuff. So I'll see you guys next time. Have a good one and bye bye.